This video was produced as a joint venture between Sifu Benny Meng, the Wing Chun Museum, and TC Media to further shed light on this authentic fighting art.
I'm Benny Meng from the Wing Chun Museum. Today, I'd like to do the basic introduction of Wing Chun, which start out with the foundation of Wing Chun. First form is called Siu Lim Tao. Siu Lim Tao, the meaning is very important. It's kind of interesting because being a self-defense system, being a combat system, okay, the meaning does not reflect to combat, okay, but it reflects to certain idea. Siu means little, Lim means idea or concept, Tao means beginning. So what does that mean? So to beginner students, at the beginning, you should have certain concept, the principle of the system. So you have an idea about the right training. And you must begin with small steps, meaning that you must have an open mind. In order to see, you must look first. And small expresses the economical motion of Wing Chun. Before I actually demonstrate the forms going through the sequence and show you the actual techniques, okay, let's break it down, all the fundamental techniques first. Okay, in Siu Lim Tao we have a stance, and we have some offensive techniques, and we have some defensive technique. But in Wing Chun we don't call it defensive, okay, because your application in defense is to prepare you for offense. Because most of a defensive technique, there's a tactics we use behind it. That means the purpose. It's one we use to redirect, or we use to jam your opponents. So most of a defensive technique fall under those two categories. First technique is Yi Ji Kim Yong Ma. What it does, it's a stance that develops stability, balance, and it's a training stance for your internal energy. Okay, you know the knees and toes all point towards the center. It develops a very strong triangle and ability to shift the weight down. Okay, this is not an actual combat stance. We don't use your stance like this. Normally, this is for training for the first form. Second group of techniques dealing with offensive techniques. In Wing Chun, we have a punch, a palm, and a chop. Okay, first punch you learn within the Wing Chun is called Yat Ji Zong Cui. Yat Ji Zong Cui is the Chinese character sun. So in the Chinese character, it has 3 lines, 1, 2, 3. So it expresses the area that you are actually using to contact with. And why the punch we call it a vertical punch? Because this is the most natural and strong structure for a human to do a straight punch. Okay, the wrist straight, the elbows in. When the elbows in and wrist straight, you have the whole body behind it. We call it Yat Ji Cong Cui. So as strong as a hammer. Cui is like a hammer. Okay, first technique, Yat Ji Cong Cui. Second technique, we have a series of open hand strike. We have the Zeng Zhang or Dim Zhang, means straight palm. Normally you use it for high gate. Second one, you use it as a side palm for high gates, or you use it side palm for lower gates. So you have almost like a plum flower shapes. The pedal here, the pedal here, the pedal here, and pedal here. So you have a straight palm, side, and side palm, one high, one low. 正掌, 高橫掌, 低橫掌. So you have a punch and a palm, and also you have a chop. It's called 斬手. Chop horizontally, vertically. Okay? As you know, most of open hand technique, a chop is strong because you're using the bony area here. So those 3 techniques, the punch, the chop, and the palm, consist of our major introduction of hand strikes in the Siu Lim Tao. Last series of technique is primarily used to redirect or to intercept your opponent's incoming technique, so you can effectively apply your own offense. First, 攤手. Okay, tans means to disperse. Okay, the wrist needs to be straight, because any type of bending of the wrist, you create excessive energy, and you could hurt yourself. Just like if you would not, I don't think anybody would punch this way. So tans out, you want to able to use the whole forearm, use it effectively, you have a straight hand. Okay, tan. The next you have a hyun sao. Hyun in Chinese means circle. So it's redirection. Okay, later on in application, you will see all these techniques being applied. So tan, hyun. Then you have a technique that's coming back in a form. Okay, normally you use it in conjunction with other techniques. We call this wu sao. Wu sao means to guard, to protect. Okay. Then last, you have a fuk sao. Okay, means to subdue. Normally, it's a hand that covers whatever you need to cover to protect your space. So we say those are the main technique for section 1. So you have a tan, hyun, wu, fuk, then pat sao. Pat directly means to slap. Okay, you are engaging your opponent, slapping the hand away. Section 2, dealing with first, is called gam sao. Okay, it's the pressing hand going down. Okay, gam sao, gam sao, gam sao, gam sao. Okay, then you also have what we call zam sao. Okay, this is not really a chop. Zam means to rest. Okay, you are actually coming on top, resting upon your opponent's bridge. Then you have a jet sao. Jet means to stop. Okay, it acts like a jerking motion. Then you have a biu sao. Normally, biu sao express the energy forward to intercept your opponent's incoming strikes. First section, you have a technique called gan sao. Gan is to make separate. Okay, so gan, you sweep across your lower gate. It's primarily a lower gate sweep to protect that space. The next, bong sao. Okay, now there are 3 major techniques of strikes. Defensively, there are 3 major techniques. It's actually called tan, bong, and fuk. So third section introduced the last of the 3 major techniques in realms of defensive hands. Bong sao, okay, which allow you to redirect the incoming energy. What I have just demonstrated is individual techniques of Wing Chun from the Silim Tao. Now you have seen the stances, you have seen some technique for striking, as well as technique to intercept and redirecting. So you have 3 major groups of techniques. So let's go straight into the forms for you to see the proper sequence. Second section. Third section. Now you have seen the forms. I'd like to go through one more time, but this time actually explain about the techniques with the proper structures and also the names of each techniques. The opening, you put your hands up to the high gate, open up, Yiji Kimyoma. Put your hands in the lower gate, middle gate, to draw the center line. First technique, Yaji Zongcui. It's important that you maintain a straight wrist, elbows down. Tan Sao. In order to keep the energy flow, have everything straight, just like the punch with the straight wrist, elbow down. Hyun Sao. Drawing back, we call Wu Sao. Fuk Sao. You repeat. Three times. After you come back last time, Wu Sao, Pat Sao, Dim Zhang, palm strike to the high gate, Hyun Sao, finish. Same thing other side. Tan Sao, Hyun Sao, Wu Sao, Fuk Sao. Repeat 2 more times. Hyun, Wu, Fuk. Last time. Pat Sao, Dim Zhang. That consists of section 1. Section 2, Gam Sao, Chang Kiu Sao, long bridge hand. Fat Sao, Kao Sao, Zam Sao, Tan, Jut, Biu, Chang Kiu Sao. Third section, Pat Sao, Go Wan Zhang, high side palm. Pat Sao, Go Wan Zhang. Tan Sao, bring it up to your high gate. Gan Sao, Tan Sao, Hyun Sao, Dai Wan Zhang, low palm strike. Same thing other side. Bong, Tan, Tok Sao. Bong Sao, Tan Sao, Tok Sao. Chun Sao. You do 3 times, then 3 punches. Yat, Yi, Sam. Now those 3 punches, each punch, you punch a half punch lower. So you go first punch, floor level, second punch, third punch, then you finish with a solar plex. Now that you are familiarized with the sequence of Silim Tao and went through some of the basic techniques named and understanding the proper forms, next I'd like to take you through what we call the purpose of a Silim Tao form training. So there's certain attributes you gotta have for Wing Chun. For example, first one, the technique, is opening of the horse. Okay, what this expresses its first attribute, you must learn to have stability, called balance. So throughout the form in Wing Chun, you develop a very strong rooted. For foundation is very important. Later on in Tam Kyu, you learn how to move properly. So first attribute is balance. So balance not just involve a physical sense, but also the balance of the mind, which means you must focus. And second is what we call relaxation. Okay, if you've done the form properly, the first section is done slow and relaxed. This part, first section, is done with the intent of developing your qi, your hei, and correspond with the intent of generating energy into your bridge hand, Qiu Sao. So first section, you are doing it actually slow. So you are developing and understand what is relaxation. So this becomes our approach. Everything we do first, slow, relax. So first section, you actually are doing much slower while I'm demonstrating. There's a story that Grandmaster Yip Mun, that for him to practice his Silim Tao, it normally takes about 30 minutes to 45 minutes just to go through his first section of form, because it involves the Heigong, the Qi development, the vitality. Okay, and also if you look at this stance, this is very typical Qigong stance. So first section is developing balance, attributes, mental focus, and the intent to develop the energy throughout your arms. That's the only factor why that your wrists have to be straight, where the energy can flow through. So as you go through section 1, regular inhale. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Second section, same thing, relax, then let go of the energy. Relax, let go of the energy. As you can see, relax, let go of the energy. Okay, what this does is to train you how to release that energy that you have developed from section 1. Section 2, the rhythms, it's consistent 1, 2, 3. It's throughout that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you maintain proper rhythms. Now, one important part of the Selim Tao, as you know, as you can see, is to develop one technique at a time. It's to really to isolate the body, to study the parts, so later on you can put the parts into whole again. For example, section 1 again, Tan Sao. Now, as I turn the wrist, Hun Sao, rest of my body is maintained still, don't move. As I draw my hand back, Wu Sao, so nothing else moves, just the part. Pa Sao, Dim Zhang. So everything is to teach you how to understand the parts before you can put it into the whole. So attributes, what it developed is really your ability to use the techniques. Without the attributes such as balance, ability to relax, you cannot have speed and power later on when you get to the more advanced stuff. So Selim Tao is a training method, but also contain the actual attribute that help you to develop your application later on. Next, I'm going to be discussing about the concept of Wing Chun. Now, concept is very important because we say Wing Chun is concept-based art. Okay, concept meaning that it's true regardless of techniques. Okay, now Wing Chun Selim Tao means little idea from beginning. So what is that idea? The idea is the concept. So once you understand the concept, those become a guideline for you to train properly, as well as tactics and strategy for you to apply your Wing Chun in the application stage. So as I go through the section 1, 2, 3 again, I will point out the major concept of Selim Tao. So opening again. Selim Tao is always facing the same directions. We humans are symmetrical, 2 hands, 2 feet. So in combat situation, we want to be able to utilize both hands and both feet. So this concept we call facing. You want to be able to face your opponents properly. Okay? Second concept, as you can see, this motions up and down, punch go out. Where does it go? It's called the center line. So second concept is called the center line. Now center line is important because it develops awareness of the vital areas within your body, such as your center of gravity, okay, between the legs, your solar plexus, your throat, all along the center line. Okay, so for attack, it's very important to attack the center line. For defense, it's very important to protect our own. Because this is where the structure can be break down, where the center is. Third, you see, Wing Chun is straight. Straight is because the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So it's efficient in the techniques. So first section is being guided by facing, straight line, and center line. Okay, so I will demonstrate that again. Facing, center line, center line. So all this technique goes to the center line. And it's a straight line techniques. As you can see, the hand goes out and comes back along the center line. Pass out, straight line again. So center, come back straight, go out straight. Straight and center. As you can see, 3 important concepts at the first section. Okay, one thing at a time, one technique at a time. Then by the time you get to second section, you start to see 2 hand work as one. That becomes our 4th major concept of the system. In Wing Chun, we want to be able to really develop the coordination Okay, later on is two hands become one. Then later on is the whole body work as one. We call that body unity. Okay, as you see the section 2, two hands. So you can see all that concept being applied. Okay, when you go into the section 3, okay, now we need to mention about the gates. Now all the technique travels high, middle, and low. So we have what we call the 6 gates. Okay, so you have your high points, you have your middle points, and you have your low points. Okay, the points being divided by the center line, so you have the 6 gates. So you see, this is a high gate, high gates. High gates, high gates. Okay, middle gate, high gate, low gate. And back to middle gate, and then low gate again. So in application, once I explain through the application, you understand the gates. Because we have to be aware of the space around us. Okay. Last but not least, Wing Chun, a lot of people say, well, it's internal system or it's an external system. Well, as a complete combat system, it's both internal and external. Okay, it's both hard and soft. Now, hard and soft meaning that by having hard is that you utilize your own energy to crash to overcome the external energy, your opponent's. Soft is not to fight with your opponent's energy, but it's rather to cooperate or to redirect with his energy. So in essence, Wing Chun is both hard and soft. So we have to keep this yin and yang balance throughout the forms. Next, I'd like to demonstrate some of the concept we just introduced. Now, concept is really applicable. Okay, so I would like to introduce one of my assistants from the Wing Chun Museum, Jeremy Rorak. Jeremy has been a long-time student of mine. He is a museum instructor certified as well as a Muya International instructor certified. But more importantly, he belonged one of the few senior certifications that is recognized by the Wing Chun Association. So today he's going to be assisting me on demonstrating some of the application of concept of student tao. First, Jeremy is going to go through the forms. I'm going to review the concept. Okay, section 1. Now, as you can see, right from beginning to the ending, there are no turning. In a lot of other systems, you start walking straight, back, right, and left. But student tao, right from the beginning, is always straight. We call this facing, 對應. Okay, now he draws the center line along the body. And then a straight punch. Okay, now what does that mean as a concept? Okay, so Jeremy is going to be facing me. Now if we were engaging in self-defense, then where I'm going to take a posture like this, where my body is really turning away from him, in Wing Chun we call that not properly facing. Because when you face something, you put your mind into commitment. So why you want to face this is put ability to use both feet, both hands onto your opponent. So in Wing Chun system, we face the opponents. But this allows us to be able to utilize all our tools. And if he moves around, as you can see, it takes minimum motion for me to stay focused on him. Okay, so in realms of actual fighting stance, facing becomes an important concept. In a lot of time we train, we face to face because we are training to develop some of the techniques. But in application, you want to be able to have proper facing. For example, if he throws me a punch, where I engage him, now if you look at my situation, I'm properly facing him. So I can strike him, kick him, where he's not in a position. So this is called proper facing. Okay? Now being a concept means it's true in a combat system from striking, or it could be a grappling system. You know, if you see two grapplers, you're not going to see one of the grappler go like this, where you're going to have a proper facing. Okay, show me a facing, please. Okay, so you can see the body tend to be square. Okay, you're not going to see another grappler is going to be sideways like this. Okay, so the same truth for facing into many different forms of combat. Okay, even if you kick the guy, okay, you want to be able to have properly face your opponents. So facing is one of the very important advantage of student tao. So once you have a proper facing, okay, where I actually create a distance to my advantage, because now both hands I can strike where the other hand cannot. So he's going to lag the straight line. He has to come around. If he comes around, he's going to meet my straight punch. So you can see by maintaining my center and my straight punch, okay, I definitely create a situation where it's advantage to me. So you can see some of the concept being applied. Not to mention, okay, when I engage him, okay, at least my hands on the center, because now I have all the proper structures to support my techniques, not just sideways. So this is what we call the facing, center line, as well as the straight line theory. Next, we go into the second section, okay, as Jeremy is demonstrate again. Okay, you can see all these two hands. Okay, very good. Now, what does this mean? It's not like you have two guys, you try to chop two guys at the same time, or you try to chop two hands. What it expresses the concept. That means you gotta learn how to use your hands simultaneously. Now, first section, the technique is one hand at a time. So in a real situation, we want to be direct and effective. So if I were engaging him, if he comes in, I could just punch him. I don't have to bother with anything else if not necessary. Okay? But sometime when you come across a bridge, where if I punch, he block, there you go, we have a bridge. Then sometimes you gotta be able to always apply two hands. Okay? So if I engage him, he blocks. So right away, you gotta be able to apply two hands right away. So those are some of the two hands ability. Later on, you will see how this skill is being applied. Because at this stage, this distance, you have to react. Ability to react is very important. From here, it's always reaction. Okay, so you don't need to see. So this is an ability to use hands simultaneously. So that is to kind of show you some of the application in two-hand concept. Now, as I mentioned before, when Chun, we have what we call economy of motion. Our technique normally stays within certain boundaries. We call them gates. Okay? If something flashes here, okay, I'm not sure what it is, a punch, bill, okay, a pot, a bill, okay, cover the space. If something comes over here, same thing, pot and bill. So, could be a punch, could be a hook, or could be a kick. Okay, my response is to occupy the space in front of that gate. So, we become space conscious. Okay, so it allows us to become more efficient in applications. First technique you learn is the basic punch. Now this punch not only is a trademark of Wing Chun, okay, it's one of the most essential combat weapon that we have, the first punch. Okay, you learn from the beginning and you finish with 3 punches. The purpose of 3 punch is the ability to utilize the natural momentums. Okay, because in a real situation, you have to be able to continue to change and adapt and be able to follow through. So one technique, we don't really use the philosophy, one technique is going to win. We have certain combinations from those two-handed demonstration to the follow-up. Now, I'd like to go into detail a little bit with the punch. Okay, this punch is, number one, very simple, very direct because it's natural motions. As you walk or how you point your fingers, it normally goes straight. This allows us to utilize the natural motion in combat. Okay, because in combat situations, okay, the simple thing could become the most complicated when you're fighting another human being. So this punch is natural, number one. Number two is very strong because it's a straight punch with my whole body behind it. And number three, being natural, it's very quick. So as I engage Jeremy, so you can see the punch can have a follow-up very quick. Now at this stage in Stadium Tao, you have not seen a whole bunch of footwork. So you still don't see the body put into motion. Okay, in applications, the technique, not just standing still. The technique is always ability to continue to press onto your opponents. Okay, to take away his structure, take away his space. So some of the applications you see has direct relationship with the concept of Stadium Tao. Okay, again, facing. Okay, let's say he throw a curved punch. Okay, dealing with straight line. Okay, and you learn how to protect the gates and the center lines. Okay, 2 hands work as one, and all this become tactics of applications. So Jeremy is going to demonstrate one more time with the section 1, 2, and 3. Then I'd like to demonstrate some of the applications. Okay, now this is already rooted. Okay. Okay, very good. Attributes, you want to develop proper balance. Without balance, you don't have focus. You can't relax. Okay, so this teach you how to be rooted. And then KUNGFU, teach you how to learn how to move. So as you can see, over time, a student should be able to develop this. Okay, if Jeremy were to push me, I should be able to feel very strong. As a matter of fact, right now I feel very heavy. Why? Because the weight is being transferred down to the earth. Okay, I can even do one leg. He can push. The harder he push, the more I weight. Because this body structures of the hip, then bending of the knee, transfer the weight down. So as you can see, the applications is directly related back to your attribute when you develop forms. Okay? The straight punch is obvious. Okay, you've seen it. The next, please continue. Tan Sao, Hyun Sao, and Wu Sao, and Fuk Sao. Okay? Now that sequence, Tan Sao is what we call one of the 3 pillars of Wing Chun. Tan Bong Fuk. Tan in Chinese means to disperse. So what are you talking about here? You're talking about dispersing of the incoming attack. So Tan Sao is to really for redirection, not as a block where you meet force against force. So an example of a Tan Sao, if he were to come in with the right hand, so I engage him and then let it redirect. Redirect and come into my space. So Tan Sao is to disperse his incoming energy. Okay? And normally, the first set have a Wu Sao in every ending. Okay? This Hyun Sao, which goes into the Wu Sao in every ending. Okay? So because sometimes you need to be, sometimes I might connect him on the inside and I need to go to the outside. So from inside you need to Hyun. Or sometimes I just need to, from outside, go from high to low. So Hyun Sao act as a way to go from different gate, from inside to outside, high or low, and so forth. Okay? Wu Sao is a blocking hand where if he can engage me, okay, we call intercept his technique by having a very strong guard. Then the technique can come out. So those techniques follow in certain sequence. Each sequence is for applications. Okay, so continue with. Okay, now second section is kind of interesting. This is Gam Sao. Gam Sao in Chinese, Gam means to press. So this is not really blocking somebody that's attacking your lower gate. It could be if he were to kick me, okay, I could jam his kick by pressing it down, but pressing means a downward motion. So in lively application, you don't have to just follow the form exactly. For example, if he punched me, okay, I could be pressing his hand down, or I could pressing his head down as a way to express the Gam Sao. Okay, so after the Gam Sao, you see the motions involve with 2 hands. Some of are basically pretty much directly related to the application. Okay, if he were again to punch me, okay, where the 2 hands go separate, okay, to increase this hand I'm pulling, this hand I'm chopping for more power. Okay, as well as coming back as well. Sometimes the hands draw back. Okay, so you have out and in 2 motions going out and in to give you more power. Okay, now there's one application you don't normally recognize for beginners is what we call the shoulder techniques. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when your hands expresses energy down, what it does is to have reactional force go to your shoulder. So in Wing Chun, we apply the hands, the elbows, the forearm, the elbows, as well as shoulders. So for example, if I punch, and he's a very strong guy, he got hold of my hand and he pulls, so I want to be able right away to go with his energy. to be consistent with the yin and yang. So I can apply a shoulder button. Okay, same thing if you to pull my energy. Okay, I can apply the shoulder button. So going back uses your front shoulder. Going to the front, use the side shoulders. So you can see some of the application being applied in actual application, in actual sequence. Third section, again, pass out and a palm strike high, pass out. Bong sao, tan sao, tok sao, Chun sao. The third section in application, very much straightforward. You part, then you go straight to the striking to your center line. Okay? For example, he comes, I part, then right away, he's in a position for me to strike. Okay? Then you have a sequence where you go out, tan, up, and gan. So it protects the upper gate and lower gate. Now start with a tan. This technique goes out to about your throat level and goes up because tan sao is the upper gate technique. It disperses the energy for the upper gate. So you must know the area you must learn how to cover. So from here to here is the boundary where your tan sao travels. Okay, then it sweeps down. If you look at this technique, it covers the high gate and all your middle gates. Okay, so gan sao obviously is to cover a certain technique that comes to the middle. Okay, gan sao. The last sequence dealing with the bong sao. Okay, bong sao means wing. Okay, again, it's like a flapping of the wings for a bird. It's to engage your opponents as again, it's redirect. Most of the technique that come out of bong sao is to intercept. So you can strike. Okay, sometime like the sequence, bong, tan, is where your hand, if it's already out there, give me a 1, 2. 1, 2. So right away, tan, bong, then strike right away. So 1, 2, 3. Now this technique here, tok sao, is have a little bit what we call grappling techniques to it. Tok sao means to uplift. So not necessarily as a strike. Could be means the uplift of the hands. So later on in chi sao technique, you see a lot of time we want to control the important area, which is elbow. You use this technique to uproot your opponents, called tok sao. Follow that, you have Chun sao. Okay, this again is a concept where you learn how to follow through. It's not really say, okay, he grabs my hand, then I break away his grab, because that is not efficient. If I grab his hand and he does that, boom, he is using two hands to deal with something is not very important, where he leaves everything open. So this technique is to learn what we call hand replacements. It's more important where you learn how to hand replace. Okay, so from lower gates all the way up to higher gates, you have what we call combination hand replacements. So those are some of the basic applications. At the end, I want to mention that Wing Chun, most importantly, is little idea from the beginning. You must know the concept. Facing, center line, straight line, two hand work as one. The gates, okay, hand replacements, ability to be harmonized, be able to have the yin and yang, okay, not always hard against hard. Go with your opponents sometimes. So those are important guidelines, which will also become a principle for our training, which give us a skill for application. That would be some of the details which we'll cover in tape number 2, the training and application of Lim Tao. Wing Chun system is for self-defense, which means it's a system for practical applications. In order to get to the application, there are many series, steps. So what you have just seen is the form. The form of Lim Tao really is like a textbook. Okay. What I like to do is give you a summary. What I have demonstrated was the meaning of Lim Tao, little idea from the beginning. Again, you must have an open mind, the little step at a time, to learn the proper idea so you have a right solid foundation. And I demonstrated the individual techniques from the stances to the 3 main strikes, to some of the defensive hands of Wing Chun. And you also have seen the first, second, and third section of the forms. Okay, it's important not just memorize the sequence. You have to know the structures and the meanings behind the techniques, and then the attributes, what it developed, the balance, the focus, the relaxation. Then last, most importantly, is really the idea, the concept. Facing, center line, straight line, two hand work as ones, okay, the gates, and then the follow-up. All that is part of ideas of Selim Tao, because you're going to be able to take the idea and put it into practice from the exercise that we're going to be introduced in tape volume number 2. So therefore, you will finally get to the stage of application, because after all, this is a functional arts. So last, I want to say thank you for watching, and thanks all my sifus, Grandmaster Muyat, for teaching me, as well as my KUNGFU uncles, and my assistant, Jeremy, for helping me. Second section. Third section. I'd like to introduce my assistant, Jeremy Rorak. He is the senior certification instructor from the Wing Chun Athletic Association in Hong Kong. He's also Wing Chun certified under the museum as well as the Muya International. So today we're going to be going over the Pat Sao sequence, Lap Sao sequence, and Dan Chi Sao sequence. As an analogy, I like to give Selim Tao form would be like a textbook. So you get the knowledge out of the textbook, but knowledge alone intellectually not going to be able to give you the actual skill. So you must take it to the laboratory. So all this drill is in essence like a laboratory. So you can start seeing how you start to going towards the applications. The first part of the Pat Sao drills, okay? Pat Sao, as you see in the forms, is what we call slap techniques. So this is basic techniques which we enforce all the concept of Selim Tao from the tape number 1. As your partner punches, he's aiming at his own center and developing a strong roots. So it's not that he's using his time to train me. So he's also developing his punching. So what I'm going to do is same thing, maintain a very good horse and engaging him with a Pat Sao. As he punches, my hands go to my center. As you can see, I don't need to look. It's all about sensitivity. So first concept is facing. So what I'm doing is facing, and he's facing me. So we're being symmetrical. Develop this body unity where we can both use our hands and feet together. So that's first concept. Then remember the second concept we're talking about is center line. Okay? So I'm not really blocking. That's not what my mind's focusing on. What I'm doing is simply chasing after my own center line. As he engages, I go to my center. Now if you see, if my hand's on the center, his hand cannot be on my center. Because just like physics, two given objects cannot be in the same time, same space. So actually his punch is being redirected. Okay? So simply train your hand to go to the center. Now meanwhile, I'm developing my sense of touch called sensitivity. Why is important? Because at this close range, you cannot see everything and it's too slow for you to think. So you must have hand sensitivity. So as he moves, I move. He stops, I stop. The energy, okay, being generated go directly back to my structure. So in essence, again, I'm going over my balance. I'm going over my sensitivity, which is based on relaxation, and I'm going over my coordinations. Okay, let's watch this drill again. Okay, so you can see it's a basic, very direct, applying your pass down to center line. Okay, so from facing to center line to straight line, in second section of the form, we're talking about two hand work as one. Now you can put some of the variation into the pass out drill, such as pata. That means you are engaging your opponent's two hands simultaneously. Okay? Two hand work as one. Pass out, pata. You can further put other technique into this sequence. Tan, pa, tanda, pa, tanda, pata. Okay? As you can see, this develop both hands to train in the center line. As we follow through the second part of a pass-out drill, okay, you further give more high intensity into your training. Now that your partner is actually going to come into your space, try to strike you. If your hands are on center, if your roots is being stabilized, then he should be able to going all over the place, meaning that you're going to be able to redirect him. Okay, let's watch the second part of the exercise. Basically, your partner coming in. I should be able to maintain my space and my roots. Okay, the reason is not because I'm stronger and bigger. Reason is that he's coming in at my strong angle where I can redirect him with a strong support from the horse because I occupy my center. Now let's see some of the bad examples, such as the elbow fly out, which creates a weak link. Now you have no more support from the body, so your elbow has to be down. Second, obviously, if your hand's off the center, in that sense, he got you already. So you must have a center in the elbow down position, and which allow you to utilize your body. Okay, let's watch again. Now, once you get this sequence down, you can put variation into it. Okay, you learn a lot of technique from section 1, 2, and 3 of ФИЛьм Tau tape. Okay, builds out, turns out, bombs out, pots out. All you can use in a drill like this. Okay, reason you want to do this is because you want to train one hand. Sometimes you don't want to always be reactive to his rhythm. Okay, you want to be proactive to your own space. If he's going to come in with a quick one technique, you might not have the speed to chase after his hands. So therefore, if your hands are on center, then just change the technique without giving up that space. So therefore, if you watch pa, tan. So all this, I did not give up my space. All I have to do is just change my technique to adapt with his situations. So you can see from a simple pass out to a simple turn out to pat da, tan da, to a stage where your partner comes into your space. You can maintain that. Then what idea you have gotten is now you can put the concept into applications. Okay? There's one more variation into pat dao. It's what we call putting everything into practice. You're going to apply your technique along with the attributes, along with your concepts. In a real engagement, incoming energy coming towards you, you're not going to be staring straight at him. You're going to be moving to the side and applying your technique. So the final stage of this simple technique is put everything into one. I'm still facing. Two hands can hit. I'm maintaining my center line. I have a very strong structure against a weak side. So now you're putting everything into practice. Okay? You can use some different techniques. Don't have to be pa all the time. Could be tan da. Could be lap da. Okay? So we have three sequences in this basic pat dao drills. Again, stationary, one hand, two hand. Two, where your partner actually press you with more energy by coming into your space, then you try to redirect that away from you. Be able to have this ability. Okay? Because if he comes in and you keep backing up, in a real situation, you can't fight going backwards. Okay? That's very defensive in nature. Better way is to run. Okay? So when Chun, if you're going to engage your opponents, everything is 100%. Mentally, focus, the whole body support every technique. So that third part of this exercise, okay, put everything into practice. Okay? Going into the right position, hitting him with both hands. But at this stage, it's like a laboratory. This is not real situations. But you are proving that you can apply some of the concepts. So this concludes the pat dao series. At this stage, you are training with somebody as your partner. You try to harmonize the exercise. The idea is not to beat each other up. Imagine he really tried to punch me at my basic levels, then I'd be too busy defending myself rather than developing the skill which would give me the ability to express the system. So at this stage, they try to work together. If Jeremy were to punch somewhere else, my hand still maintain the center. Okay, then I'm doing the exercise correct at this stage. Okay, at this stage, I'm not worrying about blocking and then striking back. Okay, once you have the center concept, then you can work into some more advanced features. Okay, so idea is not to fight. Okay, if he can check my hands, okay, see if my hand stays on the center, then this would be a good way to check. So now let's look at the second ceiling tau level of exercise, okay, called lap sao. Laps means to jerk or to grab your opponents, okay. Lap sao drill follow the same concept, facing, center line, okay. But now it's a little bit more sophisticated where you're dealing with two hand work as one. Before both hands goes out on the same line, now you actually engage two hands work as one in a different techniques. So basic lap sao drill have a bong sao and a wu sao, and I have a lap sao and a punch. So I'm going to demonstrate it slow first. As he brings his wu sao into the lap sao, I react by that by going to my own bong sao. So bong sao doesn't exist by itself, so you must have a guard. Then we repeat the cycle again. Lap, punch. He bong and wu. Bong and wu. Lap and punch. Bong and wu. Lap and punch. Okay? So now if you look at the concept, again you must occupy your center line. Okay, I'm actually punching through the center line. Okay, second, simultaneously both hands have to work as one. One, then two. Okay, rather than 1, 2, and then 3, and 4. Okay, so you have 2 beats. 1, 2. Okay, the correct beat is where, if I'm training, I'm doing it correctly, the beat is where you pause at the punch. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. So this becomes the basic sequence of lap style. Okay. Next, you must discover the purpose to use the lap, but it's also introduction of using a lot of two-hand techniques. If he laps, and if he punch away from my center, such as towards the outside, it would not make sense for my hands to go out and lap him. Then I'm crossing my own hand. Then I'd be in a bad situation. So therefore, if he's attacking outside of you, closer towards your shoulder, then you can continue to occupy the center from bong to tan. This is how you change into tanda. Now from my left, we just change to the right now. Then he continue with the lap style. So the partner, I can dictate his change by punching away from the center. Then he will bong into the tan style. Then we continue that. As your attribute reaction become quicker, then your partner would know. So as you can see, the drill will eventually develop more of attributes. Okay, the second change you can do, as he is lapping you, because if your hands is in the correct position on the center line, he actually is outside center. So in essence, you do have a better position. So you can lap and beat him to it. See? So as he's challenging my center, my punch is already there. So I can grab and punch. So I can do the correct lap-da, lap-da, lap-da. Okay, if you want to keep the sequence flowing, continue to flow. If I punch him away, then he does tanda. So you see the different variations. We don't change just because we wanted to. There's a reason why we change. Okay, if you want to train your punching hands to continue to occupy your center line for follow-up hand, then you can just continue to lap down. Of course, he's in my striking distance, but the idea is not to hit, to really understand and reinforce the concept. Okay? So again, tanda, tanda, lap-da, lap-da. So that's a basic sequence of lap style drill. Now there are a lot of techniques within the student mental form. Okay, we have an exercise within the drill that show you and introduce some of the basic strike. We call it a plum flower. So you have a strike here, and here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fly petal of the plum flower. We call it the plum flower drill for the lap style. Okay, the first strike is to occupy the center, where you're dealing with upper gate on the face. The second, where you are coming across his side. Okay, so this is the second pedal. So, okay, so now we are actually putting a little bit more emphasis into his wusao. If he don't have wusao, he's going to get hit. So therefore, the wusao is always a backup. So as he's being challenged on this gate, he raises his wusao. Then I come into contact, I lap again. So you can lap and chop, and he connects with the wusao. So let's gently do the same thing. Okay, as you can see, both partners can interchange. So now it becomes more lively. So it's not like set. Okay? So you have a strike that goes straight to the side. And last, you have a 2 middle gate strike, which is dealing with a low side palm. Okay? From here, you pull his hand using your lap away from his center. Now his thigh is being exposed, which allow you to hit his rib area, his weak side. So same thing, just like the upper gate, I go strike. Now he can engage me with his guns out. So he will cover his facing again. So I engage back to his challenge. So we will develop that circle again. So let's watch it slow. Okay? So he will gain center back. So now I have to acknowledge his threat. So I disengage, go back. Get more at the regular speed. Okay? So you have a different gate cover. Okay? As your hands develop a little bit more sensitivity, you can start to develop the condition, the feeling of his techniques. Then it's more of just simply reacting. So let's see some of the simple drills where two partners can simply just react and flow. Those we call lap style drill part 1. Part 2, really reinforce what we call Wu style. Okay? What if some guys got high energy? They take away your bong style. You cannot. So therefore, you still have a Wu style. So Wu style is inside. So as I punch, he want to make sure that he can go back to the bong style. So he goes back into the bong style sequence again. So as I bring his hand down, he block with the Wu Sao, or he guard with the Wu Sao, then go back to Bong Sao. Flow. 1, 2. So from inside to outside. From inside to outside. So you're really reinforcing the Wu Sao hand. If you don't have that Wu Sao hand, that's it. It's going to get hit. So you really have to train. So you train the Bong Sao hand, then you train the Wu Sao hand. So it's like different distance. Okay? The last distance, we have a technique in the FILM form that developed the shoulder. It's a shoulder butt. So you can see this. When Chun, we don't fight with force against force. We go with it. In case I pull him so hard that it's become uprooted, then he must have the instinct to recover that. Okay? So he didn't struggle with me. He go with my force, and then I got hit with his shoulder. That's like the last phase where I develop the hands to the guard and to the shoulders. Okay, let's see that again in slow motion as Jeremy is going to pull me in. Okay, so you must keep your Wu Sao hand and then just go with him. Okay, he pull, I push. That's again harmonizing with the yin and yang. Okay, so you can see those drills start to connect and piece together. So in the final form, freestyle, you can do any one of those distance, from the outside hand to the Wu Sao hand to the body. Okay, let's do it slow. This is basic punch, basic tan da change, the pedal strikes, lower gate, the Wu Sao block, the advancing shoulders. Okay? As your technique become more capable by having good attribute, you can literally put unlimited variation into this drill. Okay? Such as, I can drill, then lap. I can pot and strike. Okay? You can start playing a little bit more lively in terms of applications. But again, is to reinforce what you have learned before from the Pasao, developing the identity of facing, hands on center, two hands work together, and be able to have the attribute to support that technique, which give you the current drills, okay, which you start to recognizing some of the principle of Silim Tao, the attributes and the concepts. Okay, let's just see one more time with some of the three forms of lap sao we can do. Remember, the rhythm, if I'm doing it right, is I pause and my punch. Okay, again, the idea is not to hit him, to just occupy his space. So I know, okay, I have a good position or not. Okay, same thing, Pasao, you can do blindfold, lap sao, you can do blindfold. Okay, for example, Pasao, I don't have to see. Okay, that's the type of capability you want to have. Same thing with lap sao. Okay, some of the hands techniques based on sense of touch, which is the essence of Wing Chun, which will take us to Dan Qi Sao. We are into the third sequence within the Silim Tao exercise. We have done the Pat Sao sequence, Lap Sao sequence. Now you have developed enough understanding with time that you have put into practice, reinforcing the concept and attributes, which now we're going to be advancing into the Dan Qi Sao. Okay, Dan Qi Sao means single sticking hands. Now in Wing Chun, Qi Sao is well known. Okay, so but I want to emphasize that Wing Chun is a straight, very simple and direct art. It's not like we need to make contact with the hands all the time in order to defend ourselves. When the target is open, we just go straight. But sometimes, obviously, we're going to come across the bridge. So the bridge, okay, which we need the contact reflex, called reaction skills. That's where the purpose of Dan Qi Sao come from. Okay, so the first fundamental Dan Qi Sao is called single hand Qi Sao. Tan Sao began with the Tan, Bong, and Fuk. Okay, Tan Sao is to cover the outer gate. Bong Sao and Fuk Sao is cover the underneath. Okay, Fuk again is to subdue, to control. Tan again is to redirect. Bong is to redirect. Okay, so we began with the Tan, Bong, Fuk, both partners. Again, important thing is to go back to our concept. We're properly facing, and the Tan Sao and Fuk Sao must have a reference. That's called center line. Right now, my Fuk Sao is on my center line, his Tan Sao is on his center line. And we come to the balance, how high. Because if you go too low on the Tan Sao, okay, it's too much for him to protect his hands too low. So his upper gate is too open. Very hard for him to block if I challenge his upper gate. So his Tan Sao too low. Okay, so therefore, depends on the opponents, you must find a balance, based on the center line and the height. Right now, we find the balance. We're about the same height. So you find the center line and then the right height. So we start the basic progression. Tan Sao initials. So for the Tan Sao guy, he must create an opening on the center line for him to come in to my space. Okay, for him to do that, he's going to change his Tan into Bill, and he had created an opening on the center line. So therefore, allow him to strike. So that will be his training. From Tan, he want to create opening. Because if we both share the center line and he don't have an opening, and he strikes, it's very easy. I just jut and redirect it. So therefore, he must create an opening by sending my hand away from the center line. Okay, as he creates an opening, then changes into palm strike, upper gate. Okay, and for me to respond, I do a jut out. Jut. So it looks like he's hitting me here, but it's not. He's actually aiming at my face. Okay, and I redirect downwards. So the first sequence, from tan sao to the face, I responded with a jut back to my solar plex area. Now his gate is open. Now I can challenge him with my punch, and he's going to shut that gate with his bong sao. And then we're back to the beginning. So that is the basic sequence. So again, you're learning how to interact your technique along the center line. Okay, there's a story where I had a chance to touch hands and stick hands with many of the fellow in Wing Chun. I visited a new school, so there's a new group of people. So I touch hands with them, and afterward they always say I have such a fast hand. But the truth is not that I have a fast hand. The truth is that my hands begin on the center where I have an advantage in position. The only difference is that they're not aware of it. So in other words, if my hands are already off my center, he's already have an advantage. Okay, so therefore, if I make a move, he hit me. So it seems like he has a fast hand. So that's why everything begins on center. Okay, so let's watch the sequence again. Okay, again, the idea is to share the center line, and he's going to create an opening for him to challenge my upper gate, and then I respond with a technique, jut. Now I create an opening, I punch, he responds with a bong, and we're back to full circle again. Okay, let's try from switching position. Again, we're discussing the concept. We're not fighting each other yet. Okay, we must train the hands to have good skill on the center line. Okay, because later on, what give me the condition to hit him is based on his bad positions. So right now, you must recognize what is correct positions. Okay, so that is the basic sequence. Now, some of the problems you might encounter is based on positions. Okay, some of the position first, like I say, turns out too low. So for him to come up to inside to strike me, he don't have the leverage. So very easy. So turns out too low. That's be a problem. And also, I can just punch him. So you must find the balance first. Okay. Another problem is that I start out with the elbow out. So if my elbow's out, there's already opening. So he does not even have to go up. He can just go straight in. Okay? So those are a common problem. Another problem is where you make contact. Right now, we're wrist to wrist. So if I put my hand on his forearm, that means he's already inside my space. So you must start with wrist to wrist. Okay? So I see palm, jut, same thing, I punch. Now, also I must have an energy that's going towards the center. And then he redirects. Now, some of the problem within bong sao is that you're too close, it's jam, or too low. Okay? So the elbow is at the high point. Elbow is higher than the shoulder. Okay, let's switch. Same thing, basic horse apply, normal breathing, okay? Other hand just chamber to the side. Okay, now this is basic reactional drill. In realms of later on, when we go into the two-hand chi sao in the follow-up series, okay, then you start to really put the energy into it. Then you're gonna enter his boundary. If you enter his boundary, he has opening, then that's when you have a proper condition to release your energy. This basic down chi sao sequence teach you how to use and understand the tan bong fuk. Okay, again, from fuk sao, you can jab from tan sao, punch, you can bong. Okay, so the basic introduction of tan bong fuk. Because tan bong fuk again will give you the basic foundation to do two-hand chi sao. So the last exercise, which corresponds to Silim Tao, is be able to further understand tan bong fuk in realms of basic rolling. Because in realms of self-defense, a lot of time you use two hands. So the basic foundation of chi sao start with what we call pun sao, which is foundation hands. So there are two basic sequence to that. Pun sao, there is what we call inside and outside. That means both of the opponent's hands could be outside hand. That means bong sao and tan sao protect his outside. Where both my hand is high fuk sao and low fuk sao. So fuk sao is to protect my inside space. So as we position our hands along the center line, then we start to roll. As within the motions, we try to correct our postures. So right now at this stage, you're not putting a lot of energy in there. Okay, so the most important is to find your good position. So as you roll, you notice if his elbow is out, then you can correct it. If his bounce out too low, you need to raise it up. Or as we roll and then we start to loosen contact at the wrist. So all this needs to be adjusted and trained so you don't have to think about it. So high fuk, low fuk, tan sao, bong sao. So same thing, after certain rolling, the position could be changed. Now my turn. Bong sao, tan sao. Okay, bong sao, tan sao. And Jeremy is doing two fuk sao. Now if you take one hand away, this is exactly where we started, dan chi sao. Okay? Now that's the first sequence, first part of double hand rolling. Okay? The second sequence is both partners does one hand inside, one hand outside. So what does that mean? Tan sao protect outside, fuk sao protect in. For my left side, protect inside. For his right side, protect outside. So we both have an in and out. So continue, we roll according to the center line. Okay, now see if we can recognize some of the bad position. Okay, so if Jeremy can pick up my bad position, okay, so what would you respond? Okay, right. So my tan sao was too low, so therefore he punched me. Okay, I am in a bad position. See if Jeremy can recognize. Right, why does he strike me? Not because he wanted to, it's because my elbow's out. So that's why rolling, first stage is learn the proper position. As soon as you sense the position's off, okay, his elbow's out, then right away you let him know, I could have hit you. So this is called pun sao. We roll in order to understand our hands position, the tan bong fuk along the center line. Okay, so we must have a pretty good understanding of position before you really talk about attributes. Later on when you're dealing with reality, where a lot of power is coming towards you, okay, and your structure breaking down because you didn't have the good positions. Okay, so at this stage, we have talked about basic dan chi sao, give you the working understanding of tan bong fuk based on the center line. You start to interact, redirect with the energy, and then with that foundation, you go into the basic rolling of the seong chi sao.
Now Sifu Ming is going to demonstrate the skills that can be developed by practicing these exercises as described on the tape, only he's going to be doing it blindfolded. So, Sifu. First progression is Pak Sao, stationary. Okay, So it's obvious Sifu Ming has his reaction skills down, he knows his distance. So I'm going to try and put a little more power in it. I'm going to try and touch Sifu's body with my fist. So I'm going to step, which was the second progression. Well, obviously I'm not any good at that either. So now I'm going to stand still, and in the third progression, Sifu Ming is going to be proactive and take advantage of my position. Okay, the next sequence was Lap Sao. The last exercise was the Dan Chi Sao. And Dan Chi Sao, as a general exercise, is not very intense, so it's easy to do blindfolded. So we're going to add a level of difficulty and do what's known as freehand Dan Chi Sao. So this is the first progression. It's just a basic flow. Following this, we'll move into a more freehand, free attack sequence. So I tried to punch, Sifu opened me up by sidestepping. Expose my center.
In this tape, we have covered what we call the basic exercise of Silim Tao level. This form of training is equivalent to like a laboratory, okay? Correspond to the tape number 1, which is dealing with the textbook, the form of Silim Tao. So I hope that everyone has enjoyed the tape, and we will continue on with the next series of tape, which is dealing with the intermediate form, KUNGFU.
Thank you for watching our video. We hope that you find it informative as well as entertaining. This video was brought to you by TC Media, who also publish KUNGFU Qigong magazine and KUNGFUmagazine.com. These publications, as well as our vast video library, are just a portion of our offerings to you in the wide world of martial arts. Please take a brief moment to review our extensive collections of other products for the martial arts. Through our product fulfillment center, Martial Arts Mart, we bring you a complete selection of the highest quality products for the martial arts at affordable prices. We also offer valuable discounts and rapid delivery service by the most knowledgeable sales representatives. To receive a free catalog for yourself or your friends, please call us toll-free at 1-800-824-2433 or check out our online store at www.martialartsmart.com. Act now.